different groups of investigators work to figure out why a man fell out of the high-miler roller coaster at the rodeo and died, we have uncovered a complaint about that very same ride. A complaint that goes back 2 years. Tonight, taking a closer look, Eyewitness News reporter Jessica Willie is here with details of what one woman says happened to her. Jessica?
Gina, over the last couple of days, we've spoken to several people who have said they've raised the red flag about this roller coaster before, most recently last Thursday, but as far back as 2009, as shown in this complaint filed with the state, one the rodeo never told us about, even when asked. 4 days after Brian Greenhouse fell to his death while riding the high miler, the roller coaster was being disassembled and loaded onto a truck. In years past, it often headed west, even in 2009, to Arizona, despite this complaint filed here in Texas.
She said somebody's got to do something because my daughter and I were almost killed at the rodeo.
Attorney Joe Stevens, who has sued Ray Kamek Shows, or RCS, the company that owns and operates the Rodeo Carnival, encouraged his friend Barbara Peterson to make it official. And this is what she wrote to the Texas Department of Insurance, the state agency that regulates carnival rides. She and her 4-year-old daughter had a horrifying experience. The handle popped straight up, leaving them virtually unattached. She was screaming. Her daughter was crying. They were hanging on for dear life. And when the ride was over, the ride operator tested it, she wrote, and it seemed to lock, but then popped right out. She alerted multiple people at the rodeo, she says, but the ride kept operating.
She was extremely upset.
The state notified both RCS as well as the rodeo, telling them they had received a complaint about the high miler. At the state's request, RCS inspected the ride again, but found nothing mechanically wrong. And since then, the rodeo has seemed to forget about it, even after Brian Greenhouse died. In interviews, it appears they haven't been forthcoming about prior safety concerns.
Were there any complaints made regarding a loose safety bar, people feeling?
A loose safety bar, no. They have had no complaints of somebody saying the safety bar came up.
That was Tuesday. Today, over the phone, Leroy Schaefer, the chief operating officer, told us he thought we were asking about complaints with the ride this year, and that at the time had not looked into the ride's complete history. He did emphasize the rodeo would not put a ride into operation that is not safe or has not passed a daily inspection.
All this deal about passing the inspection deal is just a paper game, so that if anything happens due to their shoddy operations, they then have the paperwork to say, but look, here's what we did. The
woman who filed this complaint feared the worst. She and her daughter were sitting in the lead car, so was Brian Greenhouse. His family is now suing both RCS and the rodeo, saying both are responsible for his death.
No one should fly out of a roller coaster when it's moving. When you pay your money to go ride a roller coaster, you should have the expectation and the belief that that ride is going to be safe and that you're going to be secure on that roller coaster for the duration of the ride.
RCS declined to comment. The rodeo is doing its own investigation. Now, we did find this injury report on the State Department of Insurance website, taken from a report filed by RCS about the incident involving Brian Greenhouse. In the column for alleged injury, all it says is possible internal or pre-existing injury. It never says Greenhouse died, which certainly raises questions about how these incidents are reported. Jessica Willie, 13 Eyewitness News.